What's going on, guys? Balkan Architect here, and in today's video we're going to be testing out different design options inside of Revit. So because Revit is quite a complex piece of software and you're working with 3D space and you're working with building information modeling, testing out different design options can be a little bit difficult. Unlike in AutoCAD, for example, if you wanted to test out a couple of different floor plan layouts, you could simply just copy the floor plan off to the side and then test different things. In Revit, because it's not just a floor plan, it's an actual 3D model with data, you cannot do that. Luckily, Revit does have a set of tools called design options that actually allow you to test out different design options inside of the whole building information modeling environment. And in this video, I'm just going to be showing you kind of on a simple example on a floor plan design. I'm just going to be showing you how to implement design options in order to kind of pick out the best option for your floor plan in this case. Now, design options it's actually pretty simple and straightforward to use on a simple example such as this one, but of course there are a lot of those little things, a lot of those kind of specific situations, and actually kind of presenting that on a sheet and so on. So if you want to learn pretty much everything there is to know about design options inside of Revit, I would like to encourage you to check out my course, Autodesk Revit Intermediate to Advanced Level course. This course covers a lot of these advanced topics inside of Revit, and one of those is exactly design options. So there I cover that kind of everything step by step, slowly, and cover all of the little nuances and how to implement all of the tools correctly. So if you're interested in kind of taking this to the next level, I would like to encourage you to check out that course. But for now, let's just test this out on a kind of more simple example. One more thing before we get started, I would like to ask you to like this video. It helps me out a lot. Also, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell icon, not only because it will help you not miss any of my future tutorials, but more importantly, it makes the alpaca happy, and let's be honest, that's why we're all here. Okay, so without any further ado, let's jump into Revit. And here I am inside of Revit. So this is the floor plan that I'm going to be using. And let's say that you have a request from your client. They have some ideas and then you kind of try to put that together, but you're not really happy with that. You want to add a little bit more creativity. You want to take it to the next level. So let's try out something different for this particular floor plan. So how do design options work? Well, design options will appear here in the Manage tab. Here we have design options. As you can see, it's a panel, and if I click here, it's going to open up the design options menu. And then that menu looks like this. Now, alternatively, you can get to the same menu here on the bottom of the screen. Here you see, as you can see, you have design options, and then here you have some just additional tools for design options. So if you click here on design options, it's going to give you the same menu. So it doesn't really matter, do you go on the Manage tab or do you go here, it gets you to the same menu. And I really like using the one on the bottom just because it's a little bit quicker to access. Okay, so once we're here inside of the design options dialog, it's time to create a new design option. Now you can create design options for different parts of your model. So for example, you can have one set of design options for your facade, then a different one for your floor plan layout, and then a different one for the roof design, for example. So you can have different ones on the same model. So it's not really something that you just can have one. You can actually have multiple ones. So in this case, because this is like a floor plan design, we first have to create an option set. So this is kind of defining the area of the model that's going to be kind of tested. So I'm just going to go here to new, and in this case, because this is like a living room design, I'm just going to go here to the option set. So you get this, by default it says just option set 1, option 1. So you just click on the option set 1, you go to rename that option, option set, and then here for the option set you can just name it. I'm going to be calling this one the living room layout. Click OK, and as you can see here, it changed the name. Now this is the option 1. Now by default, the option 1 is going to be whatever you already have on screen on your model. That's going to be your kind of first option, and here it's going to say primary, so that's kind of the active one, because in this case, it's the only one that we have. Obviously, it makes sense to rename that as well, so I'm actually just going to call this one the boring client layout. So this is what the client asked us for. Yeah, it's okay, but it's kind of boring and I think we can do better. Now let's create that new option set that we want to use. So for that, you go here to option, new, and that's going to give you the new option. So for the option set living room layout, we get a new option. Let's rename this one, and this is going to be the kind of cool layout design. Okay, you just click OK, and now you're done setting everything up. So how does this now apply to our model? Well, currently it doesn't. What we need to do next is we need to select all of the elements that are going to be affected by the change or by the new design. So in this case, I'm just going to select the whole thing because it's a little bit easier for me this way. I'm going to go into filter, and then I'm just going to uncheck doors. I'm going to uncheck windows and floors because these things I will not change for this design. And then floor, I will keep it in because I'm going to be making one slight change to the floor design, so let's just leave that in. And once we have that, we can hit apply. Okay, so now this is everything that's going to be affected, all of the furniture plus the floor. And then what you want to do next is go here to your design options at the bottom, and you get this little button that says add to set. So also it should be here on the manage tab. See, you have the add to set option. So once we click on that, it's going to ask us inside of which of these design options that we have for this option set do we want to include this. So do we just want to keep this all of this furniture for our boring client layout, or do we want to keep it for both the cool layout and the boring client layout? Now this is really going to depend. In some situations you're going to be kind of changing everything quite radically, so it makes sense just to kind of leave this checked for the original design option, for the kind of the original one, the primary one, and then you can kind of start from scratch from kind of an empty layout. But in this case, I'm going to be using a lot of this exact furniture, so I don't really care for that. And I want to keep it here on screen, so I'm just going to kind of keep that checked on. Click OK, and we're done. Well, what's next? The next thing that we have to do is now go into our new design option. So this is kind of the main one that we have, but now we want to edit this and try something different. And for that, we have to go here to the design options and go to our cool layout design. As you can see, it's going to gray out all of the elements that are not going to be affected. In this case, that's the doors, the walls, and the windows. So that is not affected, so that's grayed out, and then the rest, as you can see, we can play around with. So now we can start making our changes. So for example, for this sofa, I want to uncheck the kind of the extended part here. Next, I want to kind of tilt this whole layout, and I actually saw it in like a video where they kind of compared the different floor plan designs. So actually kind of want to try everything kind of tilted at a 45-degree angle. So I'm just going to select this whole dining room area, go to rotate, and then just rotate it by 45 degrees, just like that, perhaps. Yeah, that seems okay. Perhaps a little bit farther out. Okay, moving forward, let's rotate the chairs here as well. So I'm just going to hold the control key, select both of the chairs, go to rotate, and then go again to 45 degrees. Perhaps rotate them like this. Now, in this case, this is one of those situations where using some sort of either a reference plane or a detail line will help. So what I'm going to do is go here to the architecture tab, and then just go to the reference plane, and just have like one reference plane go like this, and then another one go perhaps like that. Okay, now looking at this, I could realistically move this up, this whole thing. Oops, let's try that again. Select the reference plane, just move it up, just moving kind of the center of the room a little bit farther up here. Yeah, I think this will work a little bit better. And now we can move the chairs like so. Perhaps move them in, not too much. Let's leave them there. And then for the distance of the chairs, I'm just going to be using that reference plane, so let's place it at 60 centimeters. This one as well. And have them a little bit closer in together. This I definitely don't need anymore. It might make sense to add some sort of like a circular coffee table here. So let's go to component and then go to our circular tables, and let's add one like here exactly in the middle. Yeah, that looks really good. Now, at this point, you might be asking yourself, okay, these are the cool, kind of cool families, and perhaps you really like the way it looks in both 3D and 2D. This is actually all part of my architecture design template, and if you want to check that template out, as well as my other templates and actually some really high quality Revit families, all of those are available on balkanarchitect.com. The templates, the families, and of course the courses. So it's going to be the link just below this video, and then also up in the cards above. So check it out if you're interested. Okay, just moving forward, let us now move the TV here because it doesn't make sense for it to be here. I think this wall will do a lot better. So I'm just going to go and right click, go to create similar, and let's just place it here. Obviously we have to adjust it a little bit, so move it or actually let's move it up, and then let's extend it. This is one of those families which is kind of really adaptable. There we go. Now we don't need this anymore. And also now because we have like this kind of empty room here, I think it's a good place for this little kind of table. So I'm just going to move that here, rotate by 90 degrees. There we go. Perfect. And then let's move it again just to kind of make sure it's here exactly in a corner. Perfect. And for this chair, I actually wanted to kind of follow the exact angle here. So what I'm going to do is just align it with that. Okay, where's the chair? Okay, here it is. Perfect. Now we have the chair kind of like that. See how the whole now living room is kind of tilted? And actually when I see this table now, it might make more sense to move it a little bit closer in. Not too much, just a little bit. There we go. Add more room. And now here we have kind of an empty area. So for that, I'm just going to add just a little bit of storage. So go here to component, and I have these kind of storage families. Let's see, storage 60 centimeters. I think that will do the job. Perfect. Yeah, so just kind of have some extra storage in the house. I think it's definitely a good idea. Okay, so there we go. One more thing, this carpet now doesn't make sense. So let's rotate that as well by 45 degrees. And then we can kind of readjust that a little bit like so. Okay, now this is making a lot more sense. Perhaps extend it here a little bit. But there we go. I think this looks really, really good. Now, remember that one thing that I said I wanted to make a change to the floor? Actually, what I can do now is hit the tab key and select one of these lines of the floor. And then I can go to the rotate tool, and I can actually rotate the entire pattern here. So now, as you can see, the wood flooring pattern follows our rotation of the entire room, which I think is really, really cool. So there you go. We can get rid of the reference planes now because we don't need them. And we have our new design option. So I can go now here down to design options, or I can do the same thing here on the manage tab, open up the design options, and then I can go back to my boring kind of client idea, and then I can go to my cool layout design. And hopefully when you show this to your client, the client will prefer your own design instead of their own kind of boring design. They will prefer your kind of cool, unique, tilted layout. Now, one more thing, at this point you might be thinking, okay, that's nice, we have created our new design option. How do we move from here? Well, when you go back to the main model, which is kind of design options are now kind of hidden away, it's going to default to that boring layout. Now, you can actually change that simply by going here to design options. You can go to that cool layout design, and then you can make that primary. So as you can see, it's going to change that to primary. You click close, and as you can see now, when the main model is set here, it's going to default to that. If you want to get the boring client layout, you have to open it up, and now that's only part of those design options. And obviously, if I go back here, you will see that we here have two, but you can have like as many as you want. You're not limited to 2 design options. You can have 5 if you want. Anyways, let's say we talk to the client, we decide on whatever design option they want to go with. So what do we do next? Well, next, let's go back to the main model. Okay, the next thing is to, well, get rid of the design options. Design options is something that's only used at a certain part of the design process. You test out multiple design options, you talk to your client, you decide on what you want to move forward with, and then you actually destroy the design option. So you kind of discard the ones that didn't work out, and you just keep the primary one, and you kind of get rid of this whole design options part. So if I click here on the living room, go to the option set and go accept primary, it's going to tell you that it's just going to delete the rest of the design options, and that's usually fine with you at this point. So as you can see, now the design options are gone, and we have decided on the kind of new layout, and that's what's left in the model. Now I'm just going to go back here for a second. While we still had it, you have the option to delete, and this is a common mistake. People just delete the design option thinking they've decided on the primary one, but if you hit delete, it's actually just going to delete everything, so don't do that. I'm just going to go back. So never delete, you just go to the layout, you accept the primary option, and then you're kind of done with design options, and then you can move forward with the rest of the model. So there you go. That's kind of the quick way of explaining design options. Obviously, as I said, if you want to learn more, check out the course. It's going to be linked both below this video and also up in the cards above, so make sure to check that out. Thank you for watching, guys. Make sure to check out my website, balkanarchitect.com, for more Revit courses. There I have over 120 hours of content, and I'm adding more each week. Make sure to subscribe for more videos, and also I've added a video over there that might interest you as well.